We love audits, love assurance, welcome every engagement. We will give you our opinion on your financial statements.
Every Dew down in Dewville liked audits a lot. But the Slouch, who lived south of Dewville, did not. The Slouch hated audits, from the planning to completion, particularly documentation. No one knows quite the reason. It could be, perhaps, that his training wasn't right. It could be that the CPA exam gave him a fright. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that he had no interest in quality at all. Staring down from his office, he watched them at work, and he frowned at their diligent care, the old jerk. "They'll begin with their standards," he said with a sneer. "They'll consider their ethics like they do every year. They'll look to the ASBs, the SARs, and the FASBs. Some of those fools will even look at the GASBs. And then, to be competent and to practice due care, they'll pull out their practice aids from everywhere. They'll pull out the letters and planners and forms, the checklists, the spreadsheets, the updated reports."
Follow standards, follow ethics, often can be quite a feat. But with help from many sources, our audit we will complete.
For 30 tax seasons I've put up with it now. I must stop them from performing audits. But how? Then the Slouch realized that learning was key. The dues every year had to have CPE. "I know what I'll do," said the Slouch with delight. "I'll mess up their webcasts and learning websites. I'll get me a briefcase, a tie, and a suit. And then I'll pretend to do their peer review." "You're a slacker, Mr. Slouch. You really miss the mark. You never do consider if you're competent or not, Mr. Slouch. You're a second-rate auditor without a license. All I need is a title," the old Slouch thought. But to be a peer reviewer, he had to be taught. Did that stop the Slouch? Not one bit. He simply logged into Prima and put his name on the list. Then he went into town to perform his reviews. He cut lots of corners and he found no issues. Specialized industries he completely ignored. "Wasting time on that rubbish I simply cannot afford." "You're unqualified, Mr. Slouch. You need more oversight. You ignore engagement tracking, risk assessment, and the like, Mr. Slouch. You're a triple-time failed reviewed firm without remediation." Then he snuck into their files and evidence he took. He removed the conclusions and the entries they'd booked. Then he thought of something even better. "I know what I'll do. Put the files in the shredder." But as he was putting the files in the shred bin, he heard the small sound, like the scribble of a pen. He turned around fast, and he saw a small Doo, little Sandy Doo-Doo, a staff accountant who was up for review.
What did I do wrong? Was my testing too short or my memos too long?
Now the Slouch was too smart to get caught by this trap, so he quickly made up a big load of crap. Why, your firm could be better and not look like fools if you would employ some self-monitoring tools. So, technology-based practice monitoring you'll learn, so you can self-monitor you and your firm. This fooled the accountant, at least for the day, and he gave her some spreadsheets and sent her away.
You're a loser, Mr. Slouch. You are so out of touch. While the industry is changing, all you do is gripe and fuss, Mr. Slouch. The reason your work is bad is that you don't do much.
Then the old Slouch made some phone calls and asked for some favors. He called up the NASBA and the Department of Labor. He said there were firms who were going astray. He even called up the AICPA. Then he sat back and hoped that they'd get into trouble. But then he heard something that shattered his bubble. The Doos all said thank you for all the direction. They actually welcomed all the extra inspection.
Thank you for the review process. We want to improve our flaws. We will use your review findings to fix the systemic cause.
This sound wasn't sad. The fool sounded glad. Every Doo down in Dooville was stark raving mad. He hadn't stopped audits. They did them that day. Although they had issues, they went on anyway. They did it without pencils, without paper and tabs. They did it without tables and black audit bags. They looked at the standards, they raised their awareness, took more education and sharpened their focus. Maybe audits, he thought, weren't just checklists you bought from a store. Maybe audits, he thought, took a little bit more. So what happened next? Well, in spite of his fear, his audit practice grew 3 sizes that year. He became a consultant to the AICPA. He told them that changes were needed that day. He told them that talents were ever evolving, critical thinking and more problem solving. He learned skepticism and analytics of all sorts, and he himself, the Slouch, revised the audit report.
We look forward to improvements for the future we will see. We will look at audit trends as we enhance our quality.